go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone. First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is a moment of silence. Do that in just a moment. Thank you very much. Next item is student spotlight.
Mr. Chairman. This evening, we'd like to recognize the program at Eden Elementary Drama that was performed. We have with us this evening Ms. Trista Stafford, Ms. Jessica Jewell, and Justin Maynard. Okay. This was our program reviews for our district are real, and those evaluations over the past year that we conducted and that has been a part of our assessments and where we are in our success and student achievement for this district is just phenomenal, and it really has grown into the activities that we're going to be talking about in just a moment, but throughout the district. And so it has really propelled our humanities, our arts, the drama department especially. We have Ms. Hale here tonight as well, and we'll talk about it in just a moment. But our kids are just doing a tremendous job of getting involved. It's just very attractive and very exciting. So having said that, share with us your program.
Well, we did a drama. It was called Snow White and the Tale of the Healthy Dwarf, and it was just a big combination of things because, one, I'm the reading teacher, so I try to cover the elements of drama and the literary elements and all those things, and you try to always find fun, interactive ways to help students learn that. But as you know, most of you know, at Eden Elementary, Donna Ward is really sick, and it's an aggressive illness that they really don't know for sure what it is yet, and I get emotional every time I talk about it. But the impact that she has left at Eden Elementary is unreal. I mean, I don't even know, what a special person that I wish I could touch people's lives the way that she has. So I started thinking in my reading classes one day, well, why don't we write a play for her? So we took a basis of a Snow White play, and then we wrote a fractured fairy tale. And then why don't we do this for Nurse Donna, and we'll charge $1 for everyone in the school and the community to watch it, and then we'll donate all the money to her for her hospital costs, and she's traveling back and forth to Cleveland Clinic and all these things. And we will tell about how she touches the lives of children. So the fairy tale changes its whole plot on how Snow White is saved from the poison apple because the healthy dwarf, Nurse Donna, cures her. So the kids got really into it, and they were writing this play, and then they created the playbill on their own. So then they started getting into the elements. They knew what props were. They knew what the acts were. They told me the titles of the scenes. And then during the play, we did an interactive reading lesson, and they all made their own poster on setting and character and plot. So it was like this unbelievable combination. And then it was like it got even bigger than that. It wasn't a learning activity anymore. It was an act of compassion. That you have these stressful days as educators, and you go home and you're like, oh my goodness, I must be the worst teacher ever. They're never going to get this. And I went home, and I know she felt that way too. And it was like, thank you, God, for letting me choose to be a teacher. This is why I'm a teacher. These kids did this amazing act of compassion, and our whole community came together. Then it was Fred Beverly. He does the Turkey Nazarene, and he is this amazing local painter. So he starts painting these beautiful backdrops, unless you've seen the play, that words cannot even, and he donated his time for her, and he doesn't even know her. And then the high school art classes were making these props for us, even though they really didn't have time because they were working on the Addams Family. And then everybody just kind of stepped up and started making this, and Miss Jewel and Mr. Maynard and me, it became bigger than us as teachers, and it became what I witnessed of those kids. It's like, I just can't even believe that I was a part of that. I'm so thankful. That was the best day I felt like I've had as a teacher ever. And we had so much support from Miss Preston and from Mr. Stafford, who knew that he had to be patient with me. He was very generous with the gym time. And it was like all these parents, they were like buying costumes, not just for their kid, but then, oh, we're putting this on the community. Let's buy these costumes for all the guards. Let's make this. Let's do this. I mean, it was just, and then Dance Etc., who I know nothing, like, they don't know me from Adam. They donate these beautiful costumes for the kids to wear. So then it started like, I was like, oh my gosh, Miss Preston, this is going to be awesome for program review. Like, we, not only did they create a drama, they learned and choreographed. The students, one of our students choreographed this beautiful dance. They learned how to make props and paintings, and then they sang a song because she is the most wonderful songbird ever. And it was like, it had all elements, and they really, it's not like just giving them a lesson on Buckle Down book or something of like the characteristics of plays. It was just like, they really learned so much, but more than that, the way it touched Nurse Donna, her face that night, the way it touched the kids, the emotion they put into it. I'm so thankful that I got to be a part of something like that. And the 4th grade students at Eden really deserve a lot of praise for what they did. But the most important thing is they don't want it. You know, they didn't care that everybody was like, look what you did for her. I had kids that were coming up and being like, can I just give my snack, like even now, can I just give my snack money to Nurse Donna? You know, and they were having these conversations about what they could do to make a difference. It started this trend, and it just kind of felt like it, Mr. Haney's acts of kindness, like Miss Jewell said today, let's just put one up for every student at Eden for what they did for Nurse Donna. It's like it just started that movement in our school. And I'm just so glad that this idea came to me. And at first I thought everybody was going to kill me because it was getting bigger and bigger, and I kept coming to her. I was like, I really think you need to invite Inez and Warfield to see this. And I think at first she was probably like, okay, sure. And then it was amazing to see 4th graders perform like that. And I know Miss Jewell probably feels the same way, but it was just I can't praise these kids enough. That was the best day I've had as a teacher, and I'm so happy they gave Nurse Donna strength. And I think so many times in this society we forget how important that is to pick someone up when they're down. And I was really sick last year, and she picked me up. She came to the hospital to see me when I was like on my deathbed, and she wasn't allowed to drive. She wasn't supposed to be walking. Here she hobbles down in a little walker, and it's like Eden gave her strength, and I'm glad that we could be a part of that as a 4th grade family. So, anything you want to add?
I think you covered it wonderfully, and I don't think Miss Stafford gives herself enough credit. She has an amazing heart, and reaches out to everybody with that heart. And I think the biggest part of this is that it showed compassion, and it really taught our kids what it means to reach out to other people. And I'm like her. It's continuing on. Like today, we're trying to do the act of kindness throughout the whole school, and I think it's an amazing idea. And the kids all day long were just trying to be kind to each other. I mean, it was really just, it's an amazing thing. And I really do believe I think that the play itself really taught them what compassion was really about. And they had a good model. They had a very good model. And I'm just, you know, sometimes I'm amazed. I have been so blessed to work with the team of people I've worked with at Eden, and I have to say that our 4th grade team is so blessed, because if anything, I'm there to back her up when she needs me. She's there to back me up. Mr. Maynard's there to back us up, and we work really well together. And I think that it shows.
Something that started out so small as just an activity, I thought we'd write a skit, and I'd videotape it on my cell phone and send it to her. Grew into something, and then people were like, well, why don't you put it on the community center? Why don't you put it on here? Why don't you put it on there? And it was just like, I was amazed that our community, like Fred Beverly that came and did all that for free, and I was trying to pay him and he wouldn't have it, and all these parents that did stuff, and then like, wow, my kids wrote a play. They wrote a play, but I'm usually trying to teach them the characteristics of it, and now they wrote one, like the learning that they got from that. And so now we've decided as a 4th grade family that we're going to do this every year, and we're going to donate the money to a cause, that whatever that cause may be, whether it be a staff member or just something that we feel like in the community, so we can give back. And I'm excited to see where this goes. So, but you're only as good as your team, and without Miss Jewell, Mr. Maynard, Miss Preston, and Mr. Stafford. That's what it is, and I think that even we really. I really didn't even want to come. Like I told Miss Preston, I emailed Dean 60 kids' names. And Miss Preston's like, 60 kids? kids can't come, how are you gonna, where they,
Well, they were all part of this, and we'll get certificates for each
I
and
love
every
that.
one of those.
and that's what I told Ms. Preston, I was like, I don't think, we can't send 1 or 2 kids, because, you know, it was special. It was something that, it was just, I don't know, if you didn't see it, I wish you could have, because it was special, and Nurse Donna just deserved it. There's not a lady, and I think in this community, that deserved that more than her, so.
These are certificates, Martin County School Staff Spotlight. This certificate is awarded to Trista Stafford for exemplifying the value of Martin County education. Thank you so much.
Thank you, it was so nice, thank you.
And this is Jessica's.
And Jessica.
Just like Roseanne, that's so important.
If you don't care, this is Jessica's certificate. Take that to you.
There's a couple things that I want to highlight what Ms. Stafford says is very important. One is she mentioned the word compassion. And before you that, you know that as she was speaking, and Ms. Jewell as well, the root of that is having passion. And that's the willingness to suffer the burden and the responsibility of coming in and day out. And the second thing that she mentioned was it's bigger than us. You know, it doesn't take too long to figure out that when you start something like that, it does morph, it does get bigger. And it is bigger than us. And what we do with and for our kids and for the community is bigger than us. It'll be here long after we're gone. So that passion, you gotta have passion. And as you said, you know, there's some days when you go home, you feel like, man, this thing. I don't know, maybe I think it more than others, but you know, as a teacher, when you go home, you think, my kids are not learning anything, they're not getting anything, or a bus driver, or a cook, or a instructional assistant. There's days when you go home that you think you're a complete failure. But the passion brings you back the next day. The passion brings you back Monday. And after the Christmas break, and after the summer break, it keeps you coming back. So we just appreciate so very much about what you guys have done over there. And I did get to see it, and it was wonderful, and it was beautiful to see those kids involved.
I forgot to tell you all, but I just thought this was a huge accomplishment. In that one day, just Eden staff and students and families, we made like almost $650. So I thought that was something to celebrate.
Once again, all right. And next we want to celebrate Miss Kristen Hale. Come on up, Miss Hale. Again, going along with exposing our kids to an environment that allows them to be creative and to explore their interests. And it takes a lot. It's not just 1 or 2 people, or it's just not you know, the same content that we've been doing over and over, and that we've been implementing, and that we've been teaching and instructing. It's about creating pathways of success for our kids to allow them to be creative and innovative. That's what it's about. And really, that program review, and I want to harp on that again, it's been a perfect vehicle, especially for our community and our school district and our kids, that opportunities have just been created. No one told you guys or instructed you guys you had to do that. And with Miss Hale, no one asked you to do this, but you just stepped up to the plate, saw a need for it and an opportunity. And I tell you, if you have not been to the 2 productions, thank you, and they are professional productions. And by the way, if you weren't here early enough to see that car that the ATC is going to build, it's like the Adams, it's not Munster's car, right? The Munster's car. So it'll go along with your theme this year. Maybe you can use it next year. But anyhow, I want to let you talk a little bit about what you've been doing last year and this year for our community, for our kids.
Okay. We had approximately 225 students involved in this year's production. From drama, we had around 70 students. To the art department, we had around 120 some. Culinary, we had around 20 some students that actually cooked and served our first dinner theater that the high school's ever had, which was, it's hard. Dinner theater is hard. That was the first time we've ever done anything like that. We had JRTC that kicked in, just journalism, JKG. We had over a third of our school that was involved in this production. So they started back before school let out, and they worked hard. It was about 2 hours worth of material, and that is a lot of studying and time put in. And the community has got so involved. That's what I like to see is, it's bigger than it's bigger than just us doing a little play. The community has stepped up and gotten involved. Anything they can do to help, they have just been right behind us. Our janitorial staff and our maintenance workers, they probably hate me by this point. But I mean, they've worked hard and they deserve this. They deserve this other outlet. It's something so positive for our school, and the kids, the looks on their faces when the play is over, it just says it all. It's at the point of harassment right now, wanting to start another one. They are so excited and still just upbeat over this last play. We had around 2,400 people that came out and viewed the play. And they like to see the gym field, so I really appreciate all the principals bringing their students over, because when you work so hard for something like that and they look out and see all this support, it means so much to them. So we really appreciate, and I appreciate all your guys' support and help, and thank you.
For staff spotlight for exemplifying the value of Martin County education. We appreciate all you do. What's next year's? What's the spring? You have a spring?
Oh, they've already started. They're wanting to do Grease, the high school version. It's the high school version. It's not the regular version. It's the high school version. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. And Bobby, and is Jimmy here as well? There you go. Come on up, guys. This is very exciting. I think Roger had an opportunity to go up for the audience's information, and the board is aware of this. About right at the beginning of the school, we had this idea of, again, creating another pathway of success for our kids, and it's attractive. So I won't steal too much thunder, but I'll tell you, the kids and these gentlemen's programs, what they're leading is a pathway for success. It really is. So, Jimmy?
Well, I've never been shy about talking, so thanks for taking me down here in a minute. But no, this is a great program. I'm all for. I've always been an application teacher. I was that student in the algebra class saying, "Why do we have to learn this? Why do I need to know this?" And so, I've always went with an application approach. So, when I heard about this and started thinking about it, it just everything made sense. It's going to be first of all, it's fun. I mean, there's just so much fun you can pull out of an algebra problem. But when you go into an aerodynamic or aerospace program where you're studying planes and the science of planes, getting to visit airports, space centers, that's fun. When we were starting today making paper airplanes to see which one could fly the farthest and the longest. And there's a lot more to it than just flying paper airplanes. They've got to write a paper on the dynamics of it. But it's a fun program, but also I've always been one that I've been very centered in the community, and I know our community's taken a lot of hits here lately with coal dying off, and everybody says we want jobs, and I want jobs here too, but there's got to be something to draw people in, and drones, unmanned vehicles and drones is becoming very, very huge across America. Just for example, gas companies are using flying drones over their gas lines. Instead of having to pay somebody to walk or ride a four-wheeler over miles of mountainous terrain to check gas lines, they fly a drone over and they can check it. Agriculture is using drones for crops. And so it's just now starting to take off, just now getting big. I thought, what if we had a program here where we could teach kids about drones, how to build them, how to maintain them, how to fly them. Now, we've already got a good workforce right here in the county. And maybe a company will come and locate on one of our strip jobs to build these. So I see it down the road as a future for the county. But the kids think it's fun. I know they were sold on it when we went to Frankfurt that day. They was telling us a story about a young girl who actually soloed in a plane before she got her learner's permit. She did her first solo in a plane, and the next day she went and tried for her learner's permit. So she was able to fly a plane by herself before she could drive a car by herself. So that's pretty neat. Students have the opportunity of obtaining a pilot's license over the next 4 years with very minimal cost. About the only cost is going to be fuel, and I'm already looking at different possibilities of getting sponsors to help kids pay for the fuel. I know, airplane fuel is expensive. But that's just one aspect, drones, there's space engineering. I mean, there's about 10 or 12 different fields they can go into. So it's really exciting programs. Glad to
This is a really great opportunity. Back in September, the kids got to go to Airport Day. So they got to fly for the very first time, and it was for free to an organization called Young Eagles.
And they actually got to control.
Yeah, they actually let them fly part of the time when they were up there too, so the kids were really excited about that. Also, this past Friday, we were able to go to Moorhead, visit the Space Systems program. It's also one of the tracks the kids can take. Kids are really excited, got to learn a lot while they're there. There's a lot of good opportunities. I know, as Bobby said, aviation, they can do space, they can do aeronautical engineering, the drones. My wife, she's even joined in. She found a little clip on drones I passed off to Mr. Meadows today. They're talking about a European company. They're developing a drone. So if somebody has a heart attack, instead of an ambulance having to drive, they just fly the drone in and the little things and try to help the person a lot quicker than an ambulance to get there. So just a lot of amazing things going on. It's opening a lot of opportunities for kids that are county that have never had before. And we're just thankful for the opportunity we have, and thanks for y'all's support.
I just want to interrupt you, talking about the drones, which I saw a segment on TV about using drones to deliver pizzas. So I was just like, hey, that's, I think it's a great program, and I think it's a way or a pathway that we can someday maybe be declared as a district of innovation. I just, I'm really, excited about it. You guys are doing a great job. So.
We can build on to it. And
Tim Smith, the director, is coming in December to try to map out the 4-year plan for our program. So.
Yeah, we'll let y'all know the dates if y'all want to meet Dr. Smith. He's the main guy over all this.
Again, a staff spotlight, we want to recognize and award these certificates to Mr. Allen and Mr. Horn for exemplifying the value of a Martin County education. I want to emphasize the A in value, because you've made this program very attractive for our kids. And just what Bobby was describing, Jimmy would have echoes that as well. Kids are learning, they're having fun, they don't even know they're learning.
Yeah.
And the program requirements of this is not just, hey, let's go in there. Guys, they've got flight simulators. I mean, it's like a video game, and the kids don't even know they're learning.
And the cool part is they can put in Big Sandy Airport, and it's like they're taking off from Big Sandy Airport to mountains and everything. It's awesome.
It is incredibly attractive for the kids, and they are learning, and it's, like Bobby said, it's about 11 or 12 career pathways that our kids can begin exploring early. Middle school, 8th graders, and we started with the freshmen. So this program, you kids get there, we've got an airport up here, we're very fortunate. This is the first aviation program east of Round County. So we're very fortunate to get this, and our kids are very fortunate to benefit from these two gentlemen's leadership. We thank you for stepping out and helping our kids. So, Bob, thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for all you do.
It's also the first time it's been introduced at middle school.
Huh?
First time it's been introduced at the middle
Yes,
school.
that's right.
Yes,
The first time it's been introduced at the middle school as well. So we appreciate, you have 12
I have 11.
11?
I think you have 18.
I have 18, yeah.
and 18. Wow. This started out as just like an enrichment, actually. And just very quickly, it filled up. Again, as an attractive program for kids. And it is designed for all kids, not the 4.0s. It's designed for all kids. And the attractive thing about this is that these kids think they're coming in just to have the fun. Listen, when I was a kid, and I was 10, 11, 12 years old, somebody said I was going to fly a radio control, quad prop or helicopter, whatever it is. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's what attracts kids. And there has the criteria, the requirements of kids learning their math and their science. That it's required before they get into that. So it's a carrot for these kids to learn, and they're having a lot of fun. So anybody who wants to come by and see what they're doing, especially with the flight sims, board members, we invite you in.
I had an opportunity to go to the airport.
Yes.
And a lot of girls, I don't know how many girls you got. But here they were getting on the plane, and I'm
I tried to get Roger on the plane. They offered to ride. He wouldn't do it.
They let the girls go first, the boys couldn't check it out.
I will say that when we got up there, I told these guys, I said, I kept thinking, gosh, we need this program to be incredibly successful right off the bat. We need to hit a home run on this thing. And I kept thinking, man, they're going to get up there and they're not going to get in the plane. They're going to back out. I tell you what, folks, one right after. The first one was a little girl, a little middle school kid. I mean, they just got in like they owned that thing. There was no hesitation. And I thought we were going to have to convince parents to let them do this. Heck, the parents were up there. I mean, it was the greatest cheer section. I mean, they were taking pictures and video. It was an incredibly exciting day, and it just went off without a hitch. And that's because of the leadership that you guys are leading this district and this content and allowing these kids to be successful. So we appreciate all you do. Thank you.
By the way, when they are meeting at Moorhead, Kentucky is now third in the nation in aviation exports, only behind Washington, California. So, great opportunity coming up.
Yes, very much so, John. And lastly, we want to recognize some business community partnerships, especially our Work Ready Community Committee members. Where's Martha? Could you just share a little bit about the Work Ready and the status of that, Martha, before we recognize these folks on your committee? You did a great job.
Sure. This is something that I looked at a couple of years ago. Excuse me. Okay. This was something I looked at a couple of years ago and just couldn't generate a lot of help with it because it is a community effort. And I heard John Maxwell a few weeks ago when he said, we need to get out of our comfort zone but stay in our strength zone. Well, many times with this project, I felt like I was definitely out of both. But we had great community partners in this. It is a community effort. It is to help attract employers to the area. So much of it is focused on education. Probably about 4 of the 6 components is based on education. So I felt as an educator, I had a lot to contribute to that, but I needed the help of others. So we've had a great team to pull this off. November 17th, next Monday, we will be meeting with the entire Workforce Investment Board, and we will be certified, Martin County will be certified as a work-ready community in progress.
Very good. We want to recognize some of your committee members and business partners here tonight. First, Ms. Williams, thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you. And as Martha was sharing there, we talked about before in our board meetings about the Work Ready. How very important, because the number one, again, going back to our governor's state of the state this past January, I suppose, when businesses enter into a community, we need good roads, we need infrastructure, we need all that is great. But the number one factor that businesses look at is the workforce. Where's the workforce? So if a business is going to establish a presence in a community, look for the workforce. Where are those workers going to come from? So the work that Martha and her team have done over the past several months, and as we move forward to complete that work-ready community, is helping our community move forward, whether it's in graduation rates. I mean, there's so many. How many components? 7 components. So it stretches from community involvement, business, the partnerships, the schools are just one part of that. But Martha has led that community effort. We appreciate it. And Eric Mills was on this. And we'll get these certificates to them. Melinda Justice. Denise Thomas. Martha, we'll get these folks. Paul Baker. We wear him out. We wear him out as in keep him busy. Thank you so much for all the work that you've done. We appreciate it very much. Again, these staff spotlights are for exemplifying the value of Martin County education, so thank you very much. Amy Smith, incredible partner. Amy, tell us about your best practice through this.
The Inez Deposit Bank interns and I developed, along with the rest of our community committee, developed a banner to take pictures to post on our Facebook page that we also developed to showcase our work-ready community in progress. And we also developed a window card that is now becoming a best practice for the state of Kentucky. And the window card just simply stated, I am a work-ready community in progress partner, and gave a Facebook page to give more information, and they loved it.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. We're very proud of you. Very proud of you. Thank you so much. We went down to Prestonburg campus, right? And had the kind of the the conference, internet conference down there with the folks, the approval committee, and when Amy showed them the banner and the window card, they nearly jumped out of the screen there, and at the end said, "That's a best practice. We're going to use that for the entire state." So that's the kind of stuff we bring to the table from Morgan County. Thank you very much. Chris Fletcher. Is he here? Oh, great.
I can leave.
I can't. Thank you so much for being part of this. We appreciate it. Next time.
Oh, of course.
Played in Georgetown last night. How'd they do?
Well, say better.
Yeah. Let's hope there are exhibition games all year long like that, right? Alyssa Priest. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Logan Pemberton. Hannah Fitch. Michael Shoemaker. Kayla Jude. Trina Farrell. There she is. A lot of work went into this, folks, a lot of evenings here in this conference room and other places. So these folks, especially in the community, have just given of themselves, sacrificed their time because they believe in what's bigger than us, right? And that's preparing this community for a workforce. So thank you very much for being part of it. I want to get you. Let's give them a hand.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Discussion and possible action on October 22nd, 2014, October 27th, 2014, and November 6th, 2014 board minutes. Also discussion and possible action on treasurer's orders in the amount of $328,859.84. Paid warrants in the amount of $617,878. Also discussion and possible action on professional development conferences, vehicle requests, and district facilities. Any discussion on consent agenda?
I did see Roger's challenge on the treasurer. But I have that come from the school.
I don't know how it was split up. They may have used Tommy Lee could have been general fund. I'll have to look at it. Tammy, do you know?
No, I
how we
don't.
did that?
I can find it for it. I'll let you know. The t-shirts, do you think we can reimburse them money?
Out of Title I? Out of general fund to Title I?
I just don't think we should take money from our school. It's Title I district funds. Is that what, and general fund.
And general fund.
And general fund. No offense to you, Mr. Williams, but the legal fees, I've been watching them for some months, and it's ranging anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000 each month. Like, we don't have a closed session here today, so I was just kind of wondering why we needed an attorney.
Well, I think the board invites them to every meeting unless you declare otherwise.
I just think it's something. And I wanted the public to know that I think it would be good to have an itemized copy of the billing on the legal fees every month. That's my opinion. And it is an open records request if you should want to file for a itemized billing of legal fees.
We take quite a bit, which I noticed we, got something back. I got an email the other day about the stuff that's ongoing with even the past superintendent, some of the things that he's had to attend to.
Yeah, but it's been every month, it's consistent. And I don't,
If the board would like to include that, I mean, it's in the, is it in the report, the billing that is received each month?
I'm sorry.
Is that, or is it just the total?
Just the total.
Just the total?
Just the total.
Yeah, I can include that. That's no problem. Get that to the board members.
Is there any further discussion on the consent agenda? None, I need a motion to approve.
make a motion to approve.
Have a motion, need a second?
I'll say.
Motion second, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One opposed, motion carries 4-1. Next item on the agenda is superintendent matters, reporting on. Any questions? Next item is discussion and possible action on change order number 1, amount of $1,120 to State Line Roofing for work related to the Martin County Middle School, BG number 14-214.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was, I brought this up when it first happened, back in September, I believe, when the work began, when they took off the portion around where, above the kitchen area, there was rotting plywood, those 4x8 sheets. So that was replaced early on in the project. That's where the, what is it, $1,100 or something? Yeah, $1,120.
All right, so what kind of, did they put?
Yeah, they replaced like 14 or 15 sheets.
Did they put, okay, did they replace them with, treated or just regular? Sheathing?
Look back up on the change order. I don't know, treated, what do you mean?
Well, treated, did treated mean it'd be, resistant?
The 4x8, I didn't know they treated 4x8.
Yeah, to water and stuff like that. How much, were they a panel roughly, or do you know?
Usually it's a Vantech they use.
Huh?
A lot of times it's a Vantech they use.
What do you mean?
It resists moisture.
It says on the, as the documents that were given to you, the state line roof will replace 14 sheets of deteriorated nail base. This says 4x8, there were 250, at $2.50 per square. 14 sheets was $11.20. I mean, I can find that out if they're
Okay, well, yeah, it'd be nice that
I was out there when, it was like the first day or two, I was out there during that time. It didn't look like treated, like you would see treated 2x4s and 4x4s. It didn't have that color to it.
Yeah, well, it seems like that would be wise to use if you got a place where you get moisture, things like that. That's just me.
So where do we stand on that? Is it
Yeah, where do we stand on the thing?
Well, we can, on the next one, we
Is it
can
stopped?
discuss that if you like.
Yeah, are the leaks stopped?
Well, we think so. They
Yeah,
are.
I mean,
It's not raining. It's like the guy with the hole in his roof. When it's not raining, we don't need to get up there and fix it.
You paid $260 grand
Yeah.
for a roof, and right after they get finished, you get water pouring down all through the school, all over the place. I mean,
I don't know if it's, I was over there that night, I don't, it was that one particular, where the concession, it wasn't really pouring, but it was,
It's coming in.
yeah, it's coming in.
It's the same place, and they've gone back, they poured off and replaced it, and they.
and I heard there were some other places, I heard there were like 2 or 3 spots where it was leaking.
That same area right on
it's the
top of the
same one.
gym where the concession was, it's ACR room. They were, this last time, they were one small leak, and they were back again today, but we won't know until it rains.
Ran water over it again, but we're gonna see, but on this next item, I can amplify
Okay.
comments on that. So we could, I recommend approving the change order.
Yeah.
Need a motion
See, I'll
to
make a
approve?
motion, I'll make a motion to do that.
Need a second?
I'll say.
Motion second, all in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is also discussion and possible action on the project closeout form for Martin County Middle School re-roof.
My recommendation to the board is to table this, because it is the closeout payment. And I've already talked to the architect, talked to Larry, and we've talked to the principal, we've talked to the owner of the company, the superintendent of the company that did the work out there. So I would recommend to the board that this is tabled
Okay.
until next month, until the rains come and we find out
Yeah.
what's going on.
And see how it does, yeah.
Can I get a motion to table?
I'll make it.
Have a motion, need a second?
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Now, did you have questions about, they did work on it today. They do more extensive work each time they come out. And I don't know how that's possible, but they do. And then they run water over it for,
I'd like to tell them, I said, that you'll be paid would we can go through a rainy period and it not leak.
Mhm.
And that'll be your last installment. I mean, I know that sounds bad because you paid somebody
Yes.
that final payment and they're gone and you know, that's an incentive for them to come back.
Well, you have to worry sometimes about if you get a snow, and that snow when it goes to melt,
Yeah.
you'll get a leak.
I mean, it doesn't sound like this quality work was all that great. I mean, you know.
Mr. Sparkman, our architect, will be coming into the next board member meeting to discuss this.
Okay,
as well.
that's good.
And by the way, he's our go-between between the owner and which we are in contractor.
Well, just one question, so we still have plans over on Eden in the spring, is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Next item is discussion and possible action on the annual financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Andy? And Mr. Darrell Blair.
My name is Darrell Blair, and I'll be presenting audit of the Martin County School District for the year ending June 30th, 2014. You guys will turn over to count your pages. It'll be the fourth page. It is your independent auditor's report. We've audited the company financial statements of governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and aggregate remaining fund information of Martin County School District as of and for the year ending June 30th, 2014. Under auditor's responsibility.
What page did you say? I'm sorry.
It's just turn over to just count to the fourth page. It's not page number 4. It's just the fourth page. As far as under auditor's responsibility, our responsibility is to express opinions on these financial statements based on our audit. We conduct our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and the standards applicable to financial audits contained in the government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States. Down under opinions. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund and aggregate remaining fund information of the Martin County School District as of June 30th, 2014. You guys will turn over to page number 3. This here is your management discussion and analysis. It tells kind of like the financial highlights for the year ending June 30th, 2014. First bullet, the ending cash balance for the district was $529,513 in 2003 and $1,203,961 in 2014. This is an increase of $674,448. Much of this difference can be explained by the increase in property tax revenues. Second bullet, from 2013 to 2014, total general fund revenue increased 1.3%. Revenues from the state decreased by 3.7%, and utility taxes decreased by 58.5%. Revenues from unmined minerals increased 63.7%. Revenues from local sources increased 257.3%. Revenues from property taxes increased 34.9%. Third bullet. Among major funds, the general fund had $16,112,610 in revenue and about $15,345,124 in expenditures. On down to about the sixth bullet, the district's total debt decreased by $1,206,400 during the current fiscal year. Guys, we'll turn over to page number 7. This here is your statement of net position. I'll be going over the total column, which will include both the governmental activities and the business type activities. The business type activities is your food service. First, cash and cash equivalents, $1,066,148. Investments, $509. Inventory, $33,334. Accounts receivable, And I'm combining all those receivables. The total is $1,403,733, which gives us total current assets, $2,453,734. We have non-current assets, capital assets net accumulated depreciation, $20,488,650. For overall total assets, $22,942,374. Next, we have deferred outflows of resources. Debt discount, $79,261. We have current liabilities, which is due within 1 year, $2,054,248. We have total non-current liabilities due in greater than 1 year, $8,688,469. For total liabilities, $10,742,717. And we have the difference between your assets and your liabilities being net position, total $12,278,918. You will turn to page number 9. This here's your balance sheet for your governmental funds. I'm just going to go over the general fund because all these other funds are restricted for a specific purpose. We have cash equivalents, $787,877. We have investments, $509. We have accounts receivable, taxes current, $376,092. Taxes delinquent, $24,658. Regular accounts receivable, $53,393. For total assets and resources, $1,242,529. Next, we have liabilities. Accounts payable, $106,965. Sick leave payable in process, $27,516. For overall total liabilities, $134,481. We have fund balances. We got restricted for sick leave payable, $73,373. We got committed to sick leave payable, $27,516. With unassigned fund balance in general fund, $1,007,159, and that number there is pretty much what you got to work with. Gives us an overall total liabilities and fund balance, $1,242,529. If you would turn to page 11. This is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes to fund balance. Again, I'm just going to go over the general fund. Your total revenues, $16,112,610. We have total expenditures, $15,345,124. Gives us an excess of revenues over expenditures, $767,486. We have total other financing sources and uses, $112,239. Which gives us an excess of revenues and other financing sources over expenditures and other financing uses, $879,725. We've got beginning fund balance for the year, $228,323. Now we have an end of fund balance, June 30th, 2014, $1,108,048. Now we do have some findings this year that we need to address. I'm not going to go over all the findings because you've got those in the back of your audit report. But we do need to talk about the trouble concerning it. We'll turn to page number 48. As far as the bottom, it says Section 2 Financial Statement Findings. 2014-001 Activity Funds Spent on Teachers. The condition. Teachers' discretionary machines at Martin County Middle School and Warfield Elementary are in an area that students and parents have access to and use. In addition, Sheldon Clark High School transferred money from the activity account to cover expenses in the teacher's account. Warfield Elementary bought teacher retirement gifts out of the activity account. Criteria. If teachers wants to use profits generated from these machines, then the machines have to be in a location where only teachers have access to and be used strictly by the staff. No activity money should ever be transferred to the teacher's account or be spent on the teachers. Cause of the condition. Principals failed to move the teacher's discretionary machines to a secure location, and bookkeepers are not properly trained on the red book. Effect. Money generated from these machines was from staff, students, and the public, and should be considered student activity funds and be used on students only. Student activity funds was spent on the staff. Next page. Recommendation. If the staff wants to use profit generated from these machines as their own, then they need to be moved to a location where only staff has access. In addition, all profits generated from these machines last year need to be returned back to the student activity account. Student activity money should never be used and spent on the staff. Bookkeepers need to be properly trained on the record. Management's response: we will move the machines to a secure location and return all profits spent last year on the staff from profits generated from these machines during the 14-15 school year. In addition, all bookkeepers will receive training on the record. Any questions on that finding?
How much money was that?
I would say $2,000 or $3,000, maybe more. But the main thing is make sure it gets put back in activity, because the state prohibits strictly, you cannot spend activity money on teachers.
Well, we've had, you know, things before, we've had certain clubs and stuff like that, they have the money put in the general fund, but each club knows how much money they've got, is that correct? I mean,
That's correct.
That's what it should be now.
That's what it should be. If you would turn over to page number 57. So these are some other findings that I put in the audit report. I want to direct your attention to 14.2. This, first of all, I'd like to say, as far as out all the years that I've been auditing these schools, this happens to be the worst year ever, as far as it's like the teachers are ignoring the red book and the job responsibilities. When I say teachers, I'm referring to the bookkeeper and principals, of course. Activity Fund 14-2, Inez Elementary is in violation of the entire red book condition. The bookkeeper at Inez Elementary only showed up for a payroll check. From August 2013 through January 2014, she never performed any of her bookkeeping duties before quitting in January 2014. Criteria. The bookkeeper is to keep adequate books for the school activity counts and follow the red book. Cause of the condition. Principal failed to monitor the bookkeeper's work. Effect. No books were prepared, receipts issued for monies collected, any worksheets completed from the red book, bank reconciliations not prepared, POs was not prepared, bills were paid late, hardly any dual signatures on checks, accounts ended in the red, numerous receipts missing from invoices, and deposits not made daily, and etc. Recommendation. Principals need to oversee the bookkeeping process and check bookkeepers' work on a weekly basis. Management's response. This bookkeeper is no longer with us, and we have discussed with the principal about what role they should be playing in the bookkeeping process. Now, with all that being said, as far as the people at this school could have stole the school bond, I'm not saying that anyone stole the money or anybody stole anything, but I'm not saying they did.
Well, can I ask this one question? Okay, and I'm not getting into personnel. This person still works for us in some other capacity.
Right.
They no longer work.
Are
Okay.
you talking about Inez Elementary?
I mean, I'm not
Well,
mentioning any names.
I think the position was up vacant because of a sickness, wasn't it? For a while. It was a sickness that couldn't be helped.
Well, I'm not sure.
And that's where I guess maybe you should have somebody step in.
Well, it's a school activity.
On a larger scale, but we had 2 deputy clerks and went to jail for this.
Now, so I'm not saying anybody took any
I know.
money, but there's no way to tell if they did. I mean, they could have stole your bond and you guys would never know.
No.
As far as anytime you're gonna issue any receipts, when you collect money, it's very easy to stick that money in your pocket, nobody can know. Now, as far as, I did not go over all these findings because you have a lot of findings if you look on the 4 pages I give you up there. As far as what I suggest, you take those home and read over them very
Well, I kind
carefully.
of like, I would like for you to read out loud the board findings, number 2, and then 5 through 9.
Now, which ones?
On this,
Which findings?
2, and then 5 through 9.
Okay, as far as board findings, this is a repeat from the prior year, found where several line items
There's a
of the
lot of
budget
things.
had been overspent. Number 5, Head Start Director has no supervisor signing his timesheets. Number 6, no internal controls over cash received a head start. They're not depositing the money or issuing any receipts. Number 7, several employee calendars were not signed by either the employee or supervisor.
Now, this is our logbook, is that what that is? Are you talking about the logbook? Like,
I'm talking about as far as
their count, their time
the
spent?
staff here, as far as at the board office, as far as
Yeah,
those calendars, it's kind of like their timesheet.
yeah, that's what, yeah.
And anytime that they fill this out, then someone needs to oversee it and sign off on it stating that they did actually see it and these are correct. Yes,
And
this
who's
is what
supposed
it
to be the
should be.
supervisor?
Well, as far as it's reported on who the employee is, as far as, take the superintendent, for example. As far as he has to have his calendars signed just like everyone else, I'm assuming the assistant superintendent will sign his. As far as the treasurer, for example, just, of course, that's a bad example, she does time sheets, but as far as like someone else here, like Larry James, for example, he'd have a calendar as well, and then his supervisor would have to sign off on his time sheet. The supervisor could be various different people as far as just the
And by
person in
them
charge of
not
things.
doing that, what could happen? I mean,
You could be paid for time that wasn't worked. You could-
Service not needed.
You could be having some fringe benefits taken and not actually claimed, as far as like the vacation, just holidays, I mean, anything. Number 8, found several fraudulent charges on INS Deposit Bank MasterCard. This occurred in May 2014 and appears to be reimbursed. Number 9, Fund 2 budget on AFR didn't balance out or zero out.
But the fraudulent charges on the MasterCard, I mean, do we know who did this?
No, we never did get a report, and I did call.
Is that the one that was in Georgia?
Yes, and as Daryl knows, it was just commented on the audit, but it was reimbursed through the
Okay,
the MasterCard.
Okay, MasterCard did it.
Yes.
It was reimbursed, but as far as, it was a finding that has to be brought up,
Yeah.
because it's fraudulent.
How did they get, okay, how much money are we talking about on this?
I asked for a report on that, how many months ago, and never got any.
And I did call INS Bank, and
I mean, where anything
Yeah,
was
there's
filed, and
no-
it was stolen. I mean,
Yeah, they,
was there a report on
you know, they didn't
Is that
have
the one
any
that was
video or
stolen?
anything, right, of the person who,
the number,
With the file?
the credit
No,
card
but-
number.
Having to do with airlines? That what? Oh, I asked for it where it was filed. I asked for a report on where we had reported it stolen, and I never did get that.
Well, they notified us, the card company notified us. We didn't have to file anything. They did. They filed it.
Well, did they send you anything where they got it?
Well, they reimbursed us.
I mean, anybody's.
You know, if there was any criminal activity, I mean, they reported it.
And the credit card company, of course, would want to find out who the,
I'm sure
you know,
that,
people is, but they can't.
They won't
No,
tell
they
you.
didn't.
They won't,
Right.
because they did that to my daughter.
And also, with the high school's bookkeeper, somebody needs to be monitoring her work because it's like, she keeps getting worse and worse each year as far as, I tell them what their findings are, I go over stuff with them, and they even went over stuff with the current principal as far as the new principal this year. Kind of down to me as far as like, wasn't any big deal, but it is a big deal as far as these accounts needs to be monitored. And that lady needs to be given some regular training.
Then like back down in this elementary, and if there was a sickness where the position had to be vacant for some time, shouldn't someone have stepped in to be doing
As far as with
their
that,
job?
as far as the principal knew, for example, if that is the case, I don't know how long the lady was there, but my audit started July 1st. There wasn't anything for her from July 1st all the way through January. Was the lady sick for 6-7 months? Or was she just sick 1 or 2 months?
Counselor, I believe we're identifying positions at a particular school and we're dabbling in personnel because they've been identified without their permission.
Well, we've not gotten to that point yet, but we're teetering on the brink here.
Yeah.
So you might want to scale back this discussion.
For the record, I disagree.
That's fair enough. That's fine. By all means, you have that right.
Well, that's the reason I mentioned it. I
Right.
mean, it's such a big,
Right.
it's such a big revelation when you have all this thing and you want to know something.
Yeah, we've not crossed that line at this point, but you're pressing the.
Well, when you have so many readers, undoubtedly something.
But as far as answer your question, which I think would be fine, as far as the principal should have stepped in and done it, if they didn't sign someone that has.
If I'm thinking it's the same, we were talking about bookkeeper, right? Is that what we were talking about?
That's right, bookkeeper,
Yeah.
Inez, elementary.
Counselor, again, I'm going to suggest that we are awful close if we've not identified this person.
Right.
And I think you're treading on, no, I think you've already passed that point.
Anything further, Mr. Blaine? Further discussion?
I said, anytime you guys have any questions, call.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Very good.
Very good report.
Next item on the agenda is under the report. No, I'm sorry, is new business. Is there any new business?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our report was just given in the financial report. Communication plan, you're given a hard copy of that. This is part of the diagnostic review. One of the deficiencies is that the district did not have a communications plan. So I've given each board member a copy of that plan, just for the record. Also, under new business, if the board would like to speak with Terry again on the energy, if you had any more questions, but I'd like to submit his report as discussed in the working session for the record under new business.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Good. I'd love to have you back whenever we get into some of the things with Ross County. Tarrant, I keep wanting to say Tarrant, but Tarrant, and Mr. Higgins from NPA, he's the electrical guy.
Anything that you all would like for me to be involved with,
Yeah.
as far as planning, construction, anything like that, with the new high school or any renovation project, I would be more than happy to be able to be a part of.
And I'm well aware of, as you were, that there has not been a net zero school built nationwide, simply because of the demands. I mean, you've got demands on that type of facilities that you don't have at elementary schools and things like that. And if it can be done, and I'm not saying that, if it's not net zero, if it's net 95, I'll take it. Anything to reduce our
I think, Mr. Ball, that's admirable, and I agree with you, because we have to be as efficient as we possibly can with the future that we're facing. But I think what we have to do is, from the financial standpoint, we sit down and talk about nuts and bolts and all that kind of deal. We can go for grants or programs and things like that. That's, the area that we want to do. The biggest problem that you see in high schools is a lot of community.
Yeah, ball games.
Utilize
things like
it,
that.
yes.
And with ours, with a co-located ATC, we're gonna have arc welders, things like that I know that are heavy energy users.
Yeah, it's just so difficult with how communities are involved with the high school as using it as a community type center, That's where, lights are on a lot of times and this and that. It's really tough.
But as you said, the technology is improving all the
Yes, sir.
time. So
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I think there's ways that we can purge that. I do.
Next item on the agenda is reports, administrative staff reports.
Mr. Chairman, Tammy?
Financial report.
Yes. We do an AFR, which is due to the state July 25th, 2014. And then also we do adjustments from July to the auditor comes. And then we send the final AFR to the state on November 15th, 2014. If you notice the first column, this was our balance or our balance sheet for our first submission of our AFR. Cash in bank, $779,000. In final AFR, $787,000. So if you'll see the last column, you'll see the adjustments that were made from July 25th till current. The largest one was in our accounts receivables, which was $166,332.68. Bottom line, total adjustments made, which is normal in every school district for annual financial reports from July to current. Do you have any questions on this one? This one is just comparing the two submissions of our annual financial report.
Wonderful, large change in receipts.
I'm sorry.
Large change in receipts. Taxes received.
Yes, most of the taxes. And adjustments to the AFR are normal. If you come into a school district that processes 15,000 payroll checks, over 10,000 invoices, we have a great checks and balance upstairs. We have people who send for one invoice, there's purchase orders, requisitions. I check them. Another AP clerk checks them. Mr. Meadows either signs off or Mr. James. So we have a great checks and balance. You're just going to, when you process that many, you're going to find a few mistakes, but I guarantee you they're very small. Any concerns or questions? And found where several line items of the budget had been overspent. If you budget $60,000 for the electric bill and it goes to $70,000, it's going to be overspent in your budget line.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further staff reports?
Motion.
Next item on the agenda is Martin County Education Association report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to say, with tomorrow being Veterans Day, we owe a debt to every veteran here, and I'm not sure who is, but I know Mr. Meadows is, and I appreciate your service to our country, Mr. Meadows. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was, I think it was April, I'm not sure about that, but you voted 4-1 to recognize the support staff here. And I have a contract that is going to be mailed to you all probably Friday of this week, which gives you almost a full month to look at it. I'm a firm believer in, I've seen boards in the past, and I'm not saying it's this one, that's not what I'm saying, but I've seen superintendents before just lay things down and expect you to vote on them, and it's sort of like the audit. I wish you'd have had that in advance so you could have studied that. You'll have that next week in your personal mail. It will be delivered. There's another thing in there. I don't want you to think that it's included with the contract, but it was just something that I thought of because I'm very pro net zero school. I think it's the way of the future. If you have that much money, you probably really need to think long and hard, and every point he made was valid. But if you do that, and we're all about conservation and conserving, I put a document in there, and it's nothing to be approved or anything, it's just my way of saying, think about this. Because you can either lead, you can follow, whatever you're going to do, but I think you need to take the lead with this school. You have, I hate to say it was a blessing that happened, but you're making the most of it. And in that, it talks about, there's two different ones. A third, I'm asking that if in fact it is a net zero, before you think about it, 1/3 of that savings is for conservation. 1/3 of it. And that's an incentive to get all the schools to keep conserving. That's an incentive for staff, because another third is to be put back in staff when you come each year for a raise or something. And the other third, believe it or not, I thought I it seems like I have some friends and some teachers here that anytime they know that I'm in town, and I've been in town a lot the last 3 weeks, working some elections, running a few elections, but they're always selling something. The band is always needing money, this needing money. So 1/3 goes to the arts. What an incentive that would be to conserve energy. What an incentive that would be for your band and your drama and everyone to think, hey, we're going to have a little bit of money to work with, but we've got to make sure we turn that light off. We've got to make sure we unplug that refrigerator when we're not using it. Something to think about. That's all it is. Yeah. I don't want you to think it has anything to do with the contract, because it's not. And after I did it, I thought to myself, man, I should have probably told her to mail that in a separate thing. But that's just some thoughts I had running through my head. And I actually think, and it doesn't have to be 1/3, it can be 1/4, and you can put another 4 somewhere else. I mean, it just gives, a dream without a goal or objective is just a dream. But if you dream and you have a goal in mind, then you're in great shape. So that's just maybe my dream to help everybody along. So that will be in the mail, probably Friday. You should receive it Saturday or Monday. If you don't receive it, call my cell phone or call my secretary at the office. We'll do that. Another thing I'd like to address is, I understand there was communications. I've had 3 of you contact me in the last month, I guess, maybe a little longer. Ask me how many times that I did site visits in your schools. I think you may have been misled. Site visits in your school this school year is 1 time at Sheldon Clark High School. 1 time. And 1 time to speak to Mr. James at the bus compound. Now I apologize because I normally do 3 or 4 in each district. But so much going on with, I was assigned 3 or 4 campaigns, and I have been working on that. So that's going. So I think that was misleading. And if you would like to do that, I encourage each one of you to go to the schools and ask for the sign-in sheets. And I think you'll see that I am 100% correct. The other thing is, if I continue visiting schools and causing problems that I didn't do, we're going to contact the Office of Education Accountability. Well, listen, NEA is the largest labor union in the world, 4.2 million members. KEA is the largest labor union in Kentucky. I don't answer to OEA. That is the silliest thing I've ever heard. And you know what? There was a few calls made to Dr. Holliday, and folks, I'm proud to say I answer to my members. I don't answer to Dr. Holliday. So, there's a chapter, and Counselor, I may be wrong, but I think it's 160 in revised statutes. We kind of call it the 7 deadly sins. One of them is not being truthful, which is grounds for termination. So I encourage you to find out if, in fact, I was in them schools. I know they can't alter them because I already have copies of them.
Well, I was doing things too.
So I don't want you all to think that. But the fact of the matter is that's how it is. So with that, I ask you to look at that contract. If there's anything in that contract that you don't like, anything that you, and Mr. Schmidt and his guys will get that too. Mr. Mattis will get a copy. Because I wouldn't leave him out, because one of you would make a copy and take it straight to him. So I'm going to save someone a few steps. That's in there. Call me, because it's all about transparency. When we started this journey 2 years ago, we talked about transparency. And I've been transparent every time. And if I disagreed with someone, I would simply and respectfully tell you I disagree, and this is why I disagree, and I'm going to go to the board. I've done that. And so I don't want you to feel like there's nothing at all you can't ask me, none of you. And if I don't have the answer, I can tell you this bargain agreement also protects you all. It doesn't talk about money, and you know why? Because I had some folks stand up and tell you it wasn't about money, it was about being mistreated and things like that. So it doesn't address any anything financial at all. Actually, probably a fourth of it is nothing more than board policy that is violated each and every day in your school system. So call me, talk to me, I'll come over, I'll put you in contact with our staff attorneys. I know Mr. Schmidt will advise you. I just want you to know that we want you to have that 30 days in advance at least, so you can pick it apart. Because you know what? When I get something, I pick it apart. So I'm telling you, don't ever let no one lay anything in front of you and want you to vote on it. Because I'll guarantee you down the road they're going to say, and it just happened a few months ago, they're going to say, hey, you all voted on it. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, it
It's all about transparency in children in Martin County. That's all, Craig. Thanks.
Next item on the agenda is school reports. Next item is adjournment.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. I'd like just a couple thank yous, if that's all right. Just a couple things I wrote down here, and I just want people to know that drive buses and teach. And I'd like to thank Mr. Meadows, of course, my fellow board members, on the iPads for the language lab at the high school. Mr. Craig Grace is not here tonight, but certainly like to thank him for sending some of our personnel to Somerset from the School Safety Conference at Somerset, which I think will be very valuable. Also appreciate the intent to purchase the AEDs, which I know you're looking at Homeland Security and different grants for that, the automated external defibrillators, which we have never had in our schools. I'd like to thank Larry James and, of course, our bus drivers for what they do as far as the bus routes. I know some of you are not very happy as far as maybe, but I appreciate Terry Miller on the bus route to Martintown. Getting the bus back over there, and those people there have told me and called me and told me they're very appreciative. So I'd like to thank Paul Baker and, of course, Craig for working so hard and obtaining the $1.5 million grant for more counselors and behavior interventionists. And I think we have a meeting, November the 17th, and I'm sure anyone that the public can come, and the grant will be discussed. That's a great grant, especially one that we certainly need. And I'd like to thank Mr. Mike Jude, who's not able to be here. He's with a class in New York, and hopefully they'll have a good trip there. His carpentry class for the construction of the new trophy case at Eden. As usual, great job. They do a great job, and I don't know if Mr. Laney, and I just want to throw this out there about the trophy case that's left at the high school. I know Mike told me he could reduce that down, and we could possibly, if you need it, we could possibly use that, which is a nice case. And of course, we had some alumni to donate the money for that. So, but like I said, one thing, Miss Willa Preston is not here, but her persistence.
She is. She's right back there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I notice Willa every time she.
I want to thank you for your persistence, and I don't know how long you've been working on this trophy case, 5 or 6 years. The hard work that you've done, and the parents that went out and raised the money to pay for that case. I want to thank Marlena Sloan and Andrea Davis, which is one of my pet projects, along with Donna Fitch on the Born Learners Academy. I know we haven't had a whole lot turnout for that yet, but I hope it gets better. And that is, Born Learners Academy is for teaching or training kids skills before they enter preschool, kindergarten, or Head Start. So I think it's a great program. And of course, Marlena wrote up and obtained the grant. Which I want to thank Mr. Meadows, Jimmy Horn, and Bobby Allen on implementing the aviation program, which will help us, I think, in becoming a district of innovation. Of course, Sergeant Carroll, which I've got a lot of compliments on his work and the work of his wife at JROTC, and it looks like we're going to be able to obtain another instructor, so I'm looking forward to that. Kristen Hale, of course, Trista Stafford, and Miss Walker. Well, Jessica, I knew her as a walker, but anyway, the work that they do with the drama club and I think it's great getting that many kids involved, and like they pointed out about compassion and raising money for Donna, it's great. And of course I want to mention the thanks for our resource people, Terry and Tammy, the Green Dot program, the bowling. Of course I want to thank as far as Donette on the Rachel's Challenge, and I think it's a great program. Both of those programs are great. I've talked with Megan Mooney, and of course some at the high school. We're talking about dual credit classes. That's one of my prime objectives, to get as many, and she's talked or mentioned, hopefully, looking at 24 maybe, which I want 48. That's my goal, because I want kids coming out of high school with an associate degree. That's just how I feel about that. And but I think everybody that's our employee, everybody that's worked so hard, and I think sometimes things get worse before they get better. And I think they're getting a lot better. As far as the grant money, we talked about the grant. I talked to the Department of USDA today, and what I want, and hopefully Mr. Baker can come through, and the grant money that he's obtained compared to the $5,000 that we've got in the past, a couple of years before with our grant writer, but the Department of Rural Development, USDA, that I would like to see a solarium. I want our kids to have room to eat lunch, and I think there's an opportunity there, and hopefully Mr. Baker can put something together. I think we got room off that our kids don't have to go to the gym. They don't have to carry their tray to the gym to eat. But if we could get something like I'm talking about, something like the fast food places, Burger King, that glass or the glass. Yeah, that's, so I'm supposed to send a letter to them, and Mr. Baker is supposed to send. Make sure you tell him, Lisa, I got some more work for him by Wednesday, so we can get that done. But I thank everybody, and I think things are really coming along and looking at. And the new school. If you've never been to the site, there's not a site in Kentucky that can compare to that site up there at Holly Bush. I don't care. It's beautiful. And if you get a chance, which you can, it's only half a mile up there, hey, go up and take a look. ATC, I appreciate you guys letting me come and drop by, and you guys do a great job.
Well, I had some, Lisa called me the other day and said Alan Bowling had taken some aerial shots of the site, and Lisa said that it's absolutely stunning. How beautiful it is. Be nice.
And as far as the net zero, if we can get the solar panels, if we can get those grant money, and that's another thing. If anybody out there, Kathleen, we're talking about the grant money for the bands. There's grant money. We just need some help.
We're good.
I need to, if you're good grant writers out there, and of course, I know Paul Baker, he's busy, and he does as much as he possibly can, but make every attempt, which I'm looking at grant money for athletic fields that's out there. If it's just some way you can obtain it or work at it and get it done.
Well, I think that Ross Tarrant, the people there will help us get the grant, the grant money.
They better.
And, well, and the thing about it is, I'm not so energy conscious that, somebody's going to tell me that, you can't have this toaster in here because it's going to cost you a little bit. I mean, you know what I mean? I want our kids to be comfortable. I realize that, and I'm aware of what he said, that a net zero high school has never been built because of it's used by the community a lot. But what I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with shooting for that. Nothing wrong with shooting. And if it's attainable, if Ross Tarrant can build the nation's first net zero high school, imagine the feather in their hat. Yeah, that's something.
In closing, I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate these people up here with me. I know we disagree sometimes, and this and that, but I think we're all in it for one purpose, one goal, is to better for our kids and our employees. That's my main objective, is to do things right and do what's best. To do what is best for our kids, number one, and those people that work for us next. So, but I'd like to get more parent involvement, actually, like Born Learners Academy and some other things. And I think, for us drama, And the plays and stuff, they seem like they're really doing well with that. And the aviation program, you got a lot of people. So, but, that's all. I'll shut up.
I've got something to say. As far as training, I'm a driver trainer here in Martin County. Right now, I'm the only one they got. And I'd just like to get paid for my driver training part, what I do. Well, you know, you work, I come out and I drive morning and evening most of the time. I work 8 hours in the office. Okay, I went to Frankfurt 99 and took this training, put Martin County on the map with the highest score ever made. And when you take this training, then when you go out and train, you expect to get paid for it. Am I not right?
Yeah.
When do you do that? When do you do that?
Well, whenever they need me to train somebody, you know, it depends on how many comes in to be trained, or when they need trained, or.
So you can do them individually?
Yes, I can, or as a group if we could get enough. But, Mr. James, I told him I'm voice opinionated, he hears me quote a lot. And I talked to Mr. Meadows
Hey,
about
just
my
one question. How are we doing on recruiting new bus drivers? Have we got? How's that going?
I've got one going Thursday for his license. I'm hoping he'll make it. But I just, you know, I'm just like everybody else, I'm out turning a living.
Okay, so, well, I guess the question would be, you know, the attorney, are you not being paid for your time?
Well, you know, I get paid for my 8 hours, okay? They want everything done in 8 hours. Well, I've got other jobs to do too, which I think I do a good job at them. But still, when you go, you know, you go take all this training for this, and then they expect you to do it just with what you're getting paid your 8 hours. No. Not when you're only bringing home like a 3-figure payday, you know?
I think the question, Gary, is, and I need to clarify this for the audience, for the record, is that the work that is being provided, you are being paid for. And when you're asked to work beyond that time, you would be and will be and have been compensated.
The thing is, if we get into that, it's, to me, it's an extra job. It shouldn't be included in my days.
I understand, but what I'm saying is I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression here that you're working and you haven't been paid for the work that you've provided. What you're asking is for extra compensation.
For that job.
For
yes.
that job. Okay,
Yeah.
two different things.
We got that. I understand.
Are you salaried?
No.
No.
Well, if it falls within your 8 hours, on the
Well,
bottom,
I know that.
on the bottom of your contract
but-
says any or all duties assigned, but most, actually, every place I know trains after quitting time, and you are paid either a stipend or time and a half for that
Yeah,
training.
because that takes away from what they normally
Yeah.
would be doing for the district.
And if there's a need for that, we would certainly compensate for that. If someone's working the time.
Have you been doing it? How long have you been doing it?
No, I've been having to do it through the day during my 8 hours.
And then everything else goes.
Takes you away from your other duties? All right, so how do you perform your other duties?
Work them in the best I can. Which I do a good job at it, but that's beside the point, you know?
Well, in the
I
budget,
just-
there was a position that paid an extra 3,000. Was that position ever filled? a
No, ma'am.
transportation? Where did 3,000 go then?
It hasn't been filled.
Where's the money? I mean,
It
is
hasn't
it
gone.
still there?
Yeah, of course, it's never been used.
Why hasn't it been?
There has not been a need for
I
it.
mean, why, but why, well then why was it passed? Why was it on there? If there wasn't a need for it?
It
That was
was,
that 3,000 out there to, you know. It shouldn't be on there if it's not going on.
they are.
When I went into training, I did, you know, I went into training to make her extra money.
Okay.
And that's what, you know, just, I think that should be extra. I don't think it should be included in my days pay.
I got one more thing to say, Susan. I'm sorry. But on the counselors, which this grant, which I'm for more counselors, and I think counseling is one of the most important things because of the kids, the situation that some of our kids are in. I just think it's very important. I think, you got a special job there, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, with her thing, what can we do?
Have we, what does other districts do, Tim?
Well, it's always after,
It's after.
yeah, because always in the past, that's how it was. She has an 8-hour job at the bus compound. I mean, she already has that.
So training is something
So
that.
my advice for her to be, my advice to her would be what I said here about a year ago about the bus drivers. They need to be recording their proper time and not allowing someone to come over to them and say, you need to change this.
But that's not the case here.
So-
That's why I want
so
to
that's what you
clarify
do.
here that we've done very well at this. And we keep very close tabs on all sign-in sheets, everybody's work. And so, if we're asking someone to do more work outside of the contracted hours, then they're compensated.
But that's not what we're talking about.
Have you done, okay.
What we're talking about
We're
is
talking about-
what work is needed. And we don't need that work after those hours.
No,
Let me
we're
ask you
talking about
something, 'cause
her doing that job, but she's supposed to be doing other things.
I know at
That's
the
wrong.
beginning of the year that I came to you and asked you because that's when we had a lot of problems with bus runs. And I asked you if you were putting in more hours than what you were getting paid, and you told me yes.
At the time I was. I don't put in no more than I
And
have to
I-
now,
and-
but the thing is, what I'm getting at is, okay, driver trainer is a separate job.
Than just a driver. I agree with that.
Just a bus driver or working in the office. And I went for training for that. So I should get paid separate for it, because that's a totally different job.
And you don't care to stay after and do it, right?
No, I don't, but they don't want me to. I mean, that ain't the way,
You don't care to, right?
No, I don't care to. I have before in the past, years ago, because I was the only driver trainer from
But
'99
your
to
other stuff,
2003.
That's mental stress, and I know what mental stress can do to you. I mean, we're not animals here, we're human beings, we need to have some compassion around here. We lack that.
You know, I know money's tight, hey, but I'm out to make a living too, you know?
In other words, the difference between you and a regular a difference between you and a regular driver is a regular driver can drive. But you can also drive and train.
And you drive about every day, don't you?
Just about
So
every
can the
day.
board
Morning
make a
and
motion
evening.
to have this done after, and that way it would have to be separate pay?
No.
No, you can't.
No, you can't do that, but we
cannot
can, but we
vote to have
can.
this
You cannot.
position, why
Cannot.
not?
Because that job duty is in her contract.
Yeah.
You're-
No, we could
It's
change,
part of her job.
That's
That
what I'm
trainer
talking
is
about.
part of your job. And it's during the
I
day.
didn't know it was in-
And there's no work that I'm not aware of that's not getting done.
Oh, it's
But
getting
we're-
done.
well, that's what I'm saying, yeah, it's getting done, but if it's getting done in addition to your other duties.
Mhm.
Look at her, she looks so tired. Bless her heart. Love you, Father.
What's the difference between you, your years of experience, and a regular driver? The same years of experience, what's the salary difference? If you as a
As
trainer,
far as what now? What are you
okay,
talking about?
you as a driver and trainer, okay, with 10 years, let's say you got 10 years, and
I got
Hey,
25 years.
okay, let's say, okay, I'll ask you, what's the difference in salary between you as a driver and trainer with 25 years of experience and just a driver with 25 years of experience? What's the salary difference?
Don't have any really. I should be making 20-something an hour when I drive a bus, but now, I'm on class, we only get sub pay.
Do what now?
She gets sub pay for when she drives a bus. Because it's within her.
And I only get paid for the AM run because if I do a PM run, it falls into my 8 hours.
You think, wait, hold
You
on,
need, we need to file grievance.
well, you get substitute pay.
For driving.
you're not getting paid up to your year's experience. That ain't right. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, okay. We need to, it's obvious.
It's been brought up, it just, nothing's ever been done about it.
Well, we need to file grievance. That is your policy talks about that. You have to go through that process.
If you do that, they'd rather pay legal fees to find out.
No, the whole thing about it is a grievance procedure is the right way to handle this. When there's a dispute about money and wages and things like that, that's, had the board, you know, I talked to Mr. Schmidt about this. That is proper approach to take if a person's getting shorted. Because, you know, if every time that something like this were to occur, you come to the board and we're going to set a really bad precedent, have to try to set each person's salary. You file the grievance and whatever you're short of. I mean, I think that if you, that you with 25 years of experience as a driver / trainer should make more than the same driver with 25 years of experience who is just a driver.
Driver
/
trainer /
dispatcher.
/
Yeah, dispatcher and stuff like that, yeah.
Parts order / bill.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
You know, people should be.
Now, most places though, the transportation director does most of that. But I understand that you've always done it. And I will say, and I will.
It's just the ideal, you know, I did, and Mr. Miller knows I come and ask him for a raise. I did. And, you know, I never did hear nothing back, but.
Well, I think he handled that properly. I'm sure he did.
Well, I felt I did too, you know, by talking to him first.
But I will say that when you mention her name in Frankfurt, she's probably one of the top 10 driver trainers in the state.
I know him.
Now, there was a joke about the bad tire situation that went around, and I caught it during this last session, but she's still one of the top 10 in the state. You're blessed to have her.
I'm the top one. I'm the only one with the highest score ever made in Kentucky, so I still hold that.
Okay, well, can you all file the grievance and get this thing started?
Yeah, she'll allow me. Just
Okay.
like we did the rest of it. Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
That's
what
okay.
we do.
I used to write those grievances, I know. Had a reputation for.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah, I had a
and it does.
reputation for
And
not
again,
being right.
in the contract, that's what I was saying, it talks about that. It makes it easy on the superintendent, it makes it easy on you all, it makes it easy on the
Makes it
member.
easier on it. I agree.
Any further discussion? Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Need a second? I'll second. Motion second. All in favor? Aye. Stand adjourned. Thank you.
I'm starved.